it's easy to say because we also we think back and we say, man, if I knew that then. But the thing is, there is no what I know now without then, right? If you didn't experience what you experienced
Say that
then,
again.
yeah,
Say that again. Say that
there is
again.
no such
Say that
thing
again.
as what I know now without back then, because we said it on our very first episode. No, our second episode, we said it. But adverse conditions or adversity is your tuition for life. You learn through experiences. If you didn't have those experiences back then, there's no way you can know what you know now.
Welcome to the E Cypher. Flow harder than the hands on Peter Piper. And now we would like to introduce you to your rivals. It's like Ali and Tyson. The hook miss with the liking. So nothing, Mr. Bison, Maximus and Leonidas. You were in the booth with Titans, goons, goblins, and Vikings. It ain't really nothing like us.
Hey, so welcome back to another episode of Lit Code. The Lit Code, the Lit Code, the Lit Code. I'm Edgar Jones.
I'm Courtney Anderson.
We back at it again. We back at it again. We back at it again. That probably gonna be my last time repeating something 2 or 3 times. So y'all just take note of how many times I repeated something. But no, man, it's good to be here. Hey, if this is your first time checking us out, as always, man, appreciate you coming in and being able to be here with us at this present moment in time. If this is not your first time checking us out, obviously you're back at it with us. So we appreciate the support and you coming back here to be here with us. Hey, thank y'all for the comments. The momentum that we've been constantly building up slowly has been awesome. As always, man, the feedback has always been greatly appreciated. So we appreciate y'all. We're excited to go in and talk today. But yeah, man, thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. And we the Lit Code. We out. No, we ain't out. We just getting started.
Yeah, man. Hey, so shout out to y'all, of course. Anybody who's watching, 1, 2, 3,000, 4,000, however many of y'all watching. Like I always say, for 1 minute or the whole hour, man, we appreciate your time. Either way, because you can be doing anything. There's plenty of stuff out here you can be looking at. Trust me, I know I've ventured through YouTube a lot. So Facebook a lot. I know it's a lot out there you could be doing. A lot out there you can be listening to. But we appreciate you listening to us. So shout out to all our viewers. Want to kick a special shout out, really rest in peace on a somber note to one of my best friends, Lamar Wooger Hunter, transitioned over on us recently. I'll be flying home for his funeral soon. But one of the best friends I ever had, because he taught me a valuable lesson. As a youngster, he taught me that it was cool to stay in my own lane. Wooger was from another walk of life. He was that guy when I came to Raver. As far as Raver Junior High, he was Mr. Basketball. He played quarterback for us. And he he liked the air towards the side of the streets, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So I started to try to kind of be like that. He never would let me. He'd always tell me, hey, man, you a smart dude, man. Be smart. Girls like smart dudes, too. He always tell me that. Tell me and Zach Jones, hey, man, me and Head got this. Somebody got to get us out. He always told me that, and that stuck with me. You know what I'm saying? It taught me that it's cool to be in my own lane. So shout out to him. My condolences to his family. And we'll dedicate this one to Lamar Wooger Hunter.
Yeah, man, condolences to Wooger, man. Man, I got a lot of different memories of Wooger, man. But I remember Wooger came to school all slugged up.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, look Wooger, he warm, bro. And he was one dude that made goals look good, man. He definitely made me want to get some goals. But yeah, man. Condolences to Wooger's family, man. Definitely somebody that we all grew up with. From the basketball court to the football field to just seeing him right around the corner from my auntie's house, Auntie Linda, them, Auntie Brenda, man. I always seeing him, man. So condolences to my homie Wooger, man.
Yes, sir. All right. So today we have a very, very good topic. It's we like cliches. We like to talk about old sayings. And it's a saying I've said to myself before. You hear people say it all the time. And it's kind of catchy. It makes you want to say it because you start thinking about it and you're like, man, if I could go back in time, knowing what I know now and do it all over again, I'd be whatever. I'd be rich. I'd be that much further ahead. I'd be this. I'd be that. Right. Uh, so I was thinking, meditating on it as I usually do. It came up 2 or 3 times. I was talking to my lead one day, and he said, "Man, if we could go back, knowing we know now," and I was talking to somebody else, and I started to think about it, and I'm like, well, most of the stuff we're talking about going back to when we like, 13, 14 years old, right? At this time, we're in our 30s. Uh, let's just say we live until we 70, right? we got another 40 years of life ahead of us. Well, why can't we go ahead with what we know now and secure the future? You see what I'm saying? Or if we have kids, or even if they're not our own children, if it's somebody that looks up to you and looks to you for advice, well, they're really your time machine. Edgar talked about it on a previous episode about JayZ's verse on Watch the Throne. He's rapping to his unborn son, talking about cutting his time in half in terms of his thought process. So if JayZ was just thinking about it at 36, he wanted his son to be thinking along those lines at 10 or 11, right? And then if you could do that, well, you're cutting that time in half, because by the time they're your age or the age you are presently, well, they'll probably be light years ahead, because now they processed their thought for 20 years, right? They're on a thought pattern that it took you some adversity, some knots on your head, some lumps for you to get to that thought process, and you're trying to allow them to skip that part of it. And I mean, it's easy to say, because we think back and we say, man, if I knew that then. But the thing is, there is no what I know now without then, right? If you didn't experience what you experienced,
say that
then,
again.
yeah,
Say that again. Say that again.
There is no such
say
thing
that again.
as what I know now without back then, because we said it on our very first episode. No, our second episode, we said it. But adverse conditions or adversity is your tuition for life. You learn through experiences. And if you didn't have those experiences back then, there's no way you can know what you know now. So you can't have one without the other. So there's no way to go back, but we have right now and we have the future. So I want to challenge people to think more along those lines when you think back on something. If it's about stocks, right? I hear people say, man, if I knew what's the big one? Bitcoin. If I knew Bitcoin was gonna do that back then, man, I could have put this into it. I just said it a few months ago, right? Man, Bitcoin was down. I should have, and I wish I had but I do know how to trade. So why not use that for something else that's coming up now? I made a good bit of money when Dogecoin made its rise. You made a good bit of money on Dogecoin, but dwelling on the past kind of makes you abandon the future. So what we want you to do is start looking forward, look at now. You want to know where you came from, and you're gonna automatically do that because you know what you know, right? And ain't no way of knowing it without where you came from. So that's what we want to challenge y'all today, to stop worrying about going back, start meditating more on going forward.
Yeah, man. You talking about that JayZ song?
Mhm.
That's off that old album, Watch the Throne, with JayZ and the Kanye West. And basically, the lyrics went like this: "Sorry, Junior, I already ruined you, because you ain't even alive. Paparazzi pursuing you. Sins of a father make your life 10 times harder. I just want to take you to the barber. Bonding on charters, all the shit that I never did. Teach you good values so you cherish it. Took me 26 years to find my path. My only job is cut the time in half. So at 13, we have our first drink together. Black Mazival talk, Mogal talk. Ooh, I messed that up.
Mazel tov. So
Mazel tov. Look a man dead in his eyes, so you know he talk. So you know he talk truth when he speak it. Give your word, keep it. Yeah. So that's. I mean, obviously it goes a little bit on and on with that with the lyrics, but man, I've said that too. Man, if I knew now, I'd go back and do that again. And honestly, I have definitely been the one that's instead of just moving forward and saying, all right, what can I apply now? What I've learned, right, or that situation or that opportunity that I had back then. How can I continue to move forward on doing something now to help me take further advantage of my situation I'm in now, that I don't have that regret again. Um, so for me, one of the things I look at, man, is kids, right? That's why when I hear that lyric, being able to cut the time in half, that's what I think about. I do it apply to I try to apply it to my life, but I also think about the kids we run into. I think about the um, not only my kids, but my younger cousins I got, maybe some other kids I'm talking to, being able to give them my life experiences and my mistakes I made. Um, and I'm gonna tell you one, man, that and I think we talked about this a little on the last, not the last episode, probably the previous episode, but sex, man. You know what I'm saying? Uh, because you hear people all the time. Well, when I thought about growing up as a kid, um, it was always you're supposed to have sex with as many women as possible, right?
Yep.
That's what you was fed, that's what you was told, and that's honestly what you believe. So as you got older, as you continue to go throughout life, that's all I was thinking about, right? How many women can I have sex with? And as I went from college and doggone for sure when I got to NFL, that was my life. That's what I thought that was going to fill me. And it's strange and it's funny about that because every single time, even as exciting as the hunt was, right, or being able to date these chicks and talk with them and then eventually get to the point of having sex with them, there was still always an empty void at the end. Maybe not right away, but let's say after she left, right, or after I ended up getting my car driving away, it was still like I need more, I need more, I need more. And man, as I start to do more research, you think about it, right? That there's been people that's talked about the soul ties that you give away to somebody. You know what I'm saying? They take a piece of you. So let's say, for instance, right, like you have a one night stand with a chick, or you have a one night stand, if you want me to have a one night stand with a guy, like a piece of you is being taken away with that individual. So man, there's a lot of power when you look into that. And two, you start getting to comparison. You know what I'm saying? Well, she don't do it like this, and he don't do it like this. So I don't want to deal with her. You know what I'm saying? Or for a woman, I don't want to deal with him. And you're basically comparing that person based off all your past experiences. You know what I'm saying? And that can misconstrue or get in the way of your judgment, um, and get in the way of a lot of things, man. So for me, that was something that um, when I get a chance to speak and I get a chance to talk, just for men and women, young ladies, and young men, really understanding the importance of, man, saving yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to be a virgin. It's cool to have that self-respect for yourself to say, yo, I'm gonna wait till I get married. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna wait till I have a husband, I have a wife. Now there's other things that I try to give people I come across, uh, um, and conversations I have with individuals about my experience, and I try to get to them. So hopefully they don't go out and make the same mistake that I made. But I definitely know that when you look at it, man, sex is being it's all around, right? You know, when you look at some of the normal cable channels back in the day that will probably show somebody kissing, right? Or maybe they get ready to take each other's shirt off and then like it go to a commercial. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like they
Yeah.
getting it's damn near soft porn.
Yeah.
You know, like that's really
Yeah.
what they're showing on cable TV. So when you look at advertisements, sex is being sold. When you look at billboards, right, sex is being sold. When you look at social media, it's you had these chicks that's putting things up on social media, and I mean they damn near naked, you know, and then they get you with being able to give you money, right, to keep putting up this content up and keep
Mm-hmm.
feeding this content, right, and music and videos and the list goes on and on. How much is pushed, and how much is talked about, and I think there's definitely an importance of being able to guard your temple, man, because this is a temple, right? Our body is a temple, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's from the sexual side, whether it's from the things I put into my body, and I speak that from experience. Uh, there was a phase in my life, man, where I was drinking my butt off, just and I talked about this before about just dealing with the stresses that came from football, man, and sports. There was a small period of time in my life where I feel like that was the thing that helped me cope well with the the intensity that football brought. And I know I'm kind of getting off rail with it, but I'm gonna try to bring it back. But just the importance of, man, guarding your body, man, and what you're doing. Even if you've made prior mistakes, that's who's to say that you can't start to fix it right now. You know what I'm saying? Just being more conscious and aware of the decisions that you're making now, because it ain't no end, right? Like if you long as you got breath in your lungs, you still able to open up your eyes and see and being able to continue to get up every single day, you still got a chance and opportunity to make a shift. And that was one of the things I learned from football, man, that no matter how messed up, how jacked up we did on Sunday, right? And there was some games, man, we went out there and we messed up.
Yeah.
Like we got bruised, you know. The great coaches I've been around, every single time we came back in that next day, we talked about the mistakes that we made. And it was painful to sit there and have those conversations. But we
Mm-hmm.
had to have those conversations, right? We had to talk about it. And then it was always like, hey, we still can move forward and we still can go out here and make up for this by making very good decisions. You know what I'm saying? By being able to capitalize on the mistakes that we've made. So, um, a lot of times with kids, you say these things, you talk to them about your past experiences that you made, and and sometimes you don't think they pay attention to nothing you saying. Nothing you
Yeah.
saying, but I guarantee you, man, you keep planting those seeds. Um, at some point in time, it's gonna be something that's gonna pop up in their life, and they're like, man, you know what? My mama said something to me about this. My daddy said something to me about this. And I give you example for me when it really hit home for me. As much life lessons that I learned as a kid from the time I can remember all the way up into high school until I went into college. I think it wasn't until college that a lot of things that I was taught and I heard from different peers in my life that it was like, all right, man, I heard somebody talk about this before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It took me to get in a heat of it, in a part of like, damn, this sucks right now, bro. I hate that I'm here. And I'm like, man, you know what? Somebody did say something to me about this. So if you discourage or you frustrated with feeling like you speaking to somebody right now, maybe you got a young kid, maybe you got an older kid, maybe it's somebody that you one of your friends, you try to give them some advice, you feel like they ain't hearing what you saying. I would encourage you not to give up. I would encourage you to keep speaking that life into them. And at some point in time, it may take a messed up situation to happen, but they'll remember something you said. They remember something you said. So
Yeah,
I
man.
said a lot there, Denver, bro. I said a
Yeah.
lot there. I
Good
saw you
job.
over there with that pen and paper,
I
and
I
you
like when
writing
you say a
down.
lot because then that's gonna help me say a lot. So you know, quid pro quo,
Loop, loop.
Clarice.
Yeah.
But basically what you just talked about, you're a big weapons guy, right? You're trying to give them a little situational awareness, right? And that's when it's gonna kick in. They won't you telling them right now, and it hadn't been a part of their reality yet. I mean, they hear it, but they can't understand it. And then, like you said, when you got to college and you wind up in that situation, and boom, your voice automatically click in their head like, okay, this is what he was talking about, right? And just like that situational awareness, if they listen, well, they'll kind of instinctively do what you told them to do, right? The main thing is, if you are talking to these kids, right? If you are using them as your time machine, best thing you can do is let them see you live it. So I can't come tell a group of boys, hey man, hey, if you get this to having sex, cool, but it ain't nothing you gotta just be after all the time. I can't tell them that, let them see me out with 3-4 different women every week. You know what I'm saying? Like that's that's not gonna work. I can't say, hey man, don't try to drown your pain with or when the season and you know they're gonna test you, stay out for this and that. And then when they see me, I'm blowing big every time they see me. Right. You gotta be able to lead by example first. So you have to actually be living it in the now, which is why I say apply what you know now. Right. So if you're applying it and then you're telling them, hey man, this how you need to do this. And they can actually see you really doing it and they know you really living like that. Then it ain't just lip service. They know it's for real. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us, we come up under coaches that may have told us one thing and was doing something else, right? And they slipped up and they let us see that. Or people in the church, right? You see people in the church, you know, dressed up, clean cut, getting on you as they should when you're doing wrong. But you can't do that and then let me see you at the football game slush or cussing people out, and you know that ain't gonna fly because now I'm like, well, I hear what he be saying, but it look like he having a pretty good time right now. Way more fun than we having at church. Because again, we got that side, right? That side that naturally exists. When Nova was a baby, if you took his favorite ball or something before he knew what mad meant, before he knew what hit meant, he probably hit or scratch you as a baby, right? Because we born with both of these sides. When you asked a couple episodes ago, why do we like that carnage and stuff? Because it's just a part of our makeup, right? It exists from jump. We balls of energy. We polar opposites. You got your hot and cold, good and bad. So it exists. And one thing I like to say is when we dwell, you hear it all the time, we dwell on something. I dwell in the past. I dwell. What the word dwell means to live, right? In a particular place or that's what it means. It means live. A dwelling place is a house, a place where you live. Yeah. If you start to dwell in the past and live in the past, but you're trying to go forward and leave certain stuff in the past, then what happened is some of those ways will creep on up because you're living in it, right? Man, if I can go back and do this and that, well, back then you was a whole different being, right? You keep thinking back on it. Think about how many, let's say you around a bunch of NFL players, right? And y'all used to run women together and you get to talking about it, right? If me and you, Ty, ain't got to be NFL players, me and you talking about some women in the past, part of you going to start to get excited. You're dwelling on it and you're going to be, first thing you're going to start doing is thinking back like, damn, right? But we got to kill him off. We got to absorb him and control him. But since we dwell in there, guess what he going to do? He going to creep up in you. Before you know it, you see a profile pic or you bump into somebody at a store, whatever it is. And he here because you allowing him to be there, right? Because you dwelling on it, dwelling in the past. When we were coming up, we would talk, just like you said, about music, by TV, by the people around us. You're supposed to conquer all these women, right? And the women taught now to be hot girls and this and that. The girls were taught that the big football star, Mr. Everything, that's who I need to go after, right? So all the friends really after this one, then people start to settle. All that, I don't have to go into detail, but all that leads to the state of conflict we're in now because we were all taught wrong and we thought we were doing something cool back then. It really wasn't. So now women saying all men are dogs. We saying y'all don't know what y'all want because none of us did, right? We got tricked. We got hit with the okie doke. But now we know better, right? But we can't go back. You can't go do none of that over or undo it. It's done. What you can do is go forward doing it the right way. Hard as that might be, it sounds easy the way I'm saying it. It's gonna be a challenge, but it's what you gotta do, right? We have daughters. Both of us have daughters. All that stuff we thought the girls were doing in the clubs and stuff and doing us, it was cool. It don't seem so cool no more. You know what I'm saying? Because if you visualizing back to daughter, that ain't what we want to do. So now you gotta live it. You gotta teach it, because now more than ever, like we said before, they can pick up a phone, a tablet, whatever, hit one button, boom, it's in their face. I want to be like Cardi B, for lack of, that's the first thing popped to my mind, right? I want to be like that, Dad. You saying, well, I don't know. You could decide to like the music maybe, but, and then you can't even go there, because now we know that music has an influence on you. Music, media, what you see, right? So we have to be real careful with that. But like I said, the main thing is making sure that we're actually living it, right? And the thing about that you mentioned earlier about your past, anything that I did, anything I letting the kids see me do, hear me rap, whatever, right? At the time, the reason you can't beat yourself up over it, because at the time, you really thought you were doing what you're supposed to do. Which goes back to our other episode. Sometimes you got to read back to even know you was fucking up in the first place, right? I had to read back over like, dang, I was doing that, thinking that was cool. You know what I'm saying? And once you read back on it, what I said was, you can't change these chapters back here. They're written, but it ain't in stone already. What you can do is change what you're writing right now. Make sure you're doing that right. And your future chapters, you can set them up to be your next 20 years can be way better than the first 20 years. It's all a mind thing though. Where you dwelling at? Are you dwelling on what I did back then? Or you dwelling on what I'm doing now, what I can be doing in the future? And if you're dwelling on what I'm doing now and in the future, that's when you can really reach back to the kids, right? And let them know, because they're gonna know it's real. My parents, our parents, likely made the mistake of thinking we didn't notice certain stuff, right? We won't make that mistake. I know my daughter sit in the corner quiet and she'll be able to repeat everything we said. My son, same way, like he a sponge. We were sponges. So a lot of stuff you might have thought we didn't see, you know what I'm saying? We saw it, you know, and we thought what y'all were doing was right, everything. So a lot of stuff we're gonna mimic. So be careful not to put anything out there for them to mimic that's wrong. And be very, very be intentional on worrying about now and the future, knowing what you know now. So I know this now, because those situations still gonna pop up, right? This whole women thing don't stop because you left the NFL. I mean,
oh no,
still, you know what I'm saying? You still running around, you know, 6'4", 270 cock diesel in the middle of Dallas with some little shorts and a little t-shirt on. They see you. You know, you running around out there everywhere. And it ain't gotta be that. Trust me. I'm sitting over at 330. You know what I'm saying? I ain't chiseled up like El Hall, but it definitely happens. They smell it on you. So you still have to, your now has to be right, Because you know what the past you would do. So the now you gotta be right, and you gotta let that be, right? You gotta let it be, because whatever you dwell on, we were dwelling on sex back then. So that's what we were living, right? Whatever you dwell on, whatever you meditate on, whatever you thinking about constantly all the time, right? Right now we thinking about success. We dwelling on making sure the lit code gets done. You got a lot of opportunities out in front of you. I got stuff I'm trying to do. We want to make sure we secure our family's futures, even if something happen to us, they straight, right? We dwelling on that right now. So we live in a certain type of way. Be careful what you're dwelling on. Dwell on now in the future.
And I tell you what, man, that doggone shame and guilt, though, golly, man, that's even as I've made mistakes, right? I sit back and I think about it now. I start to really reflect on how much I let shame and guilt prohibit me from moving forward. You know what I'm saying? And really, like, and here's the thing about the shame and the guilt. A lot of times in my life, I actually would go back and be comfortable with sitting in that place of thinking about that shame. You know what I'm saying? For a mistake I made, or that guilt from the mistake I made. So, you know, I know that's a lot. I know that's one thing that a lot of people battle with. I definitely have battled with it um, recently, and still to this day, there's certain things I have some shame and guilt towards. You know, um, like for instance, for me, um, like my daughter, right, and how me and her mom split up. You know what I'm saying? And just some things I could have did better. Um, and there was a period where I used to really let that consume me, and I live with a lot of shame and guilt from how I handled that situation, how we ended up splitting up. But now, what I've tried to do, not just now, but the past couple years, is just being the best father I could be for my daughter. You know what I'm saying? Being
Yeah.
the best father I can be for my daughter, and honestly, being um, as much as I can, being a good um, friend to my daughter's mom. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
just really having a good cordial, having a really good relationship as much as we can between us. And it's taking time to get to a place to do that, but we have arrived there now. But I think about how much that shame and that guilt. I spent so much time in that world that it wouldn't even let me be present with being the best father I could because I thought about all the mistakes I made. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? A lot of times based off the mistakes we made, even if um, let's say you somebody gave you some money um, to start up a business and you didn't handle it the right way and the business ended up tanking, right? So now potentially you got the shame and the guilt based off of, man, I got that guy's money or I got money from this person. And I try to start up this business and this business tank. You carry around that shame and the guilt, and all along you getting the opportunity to probably walk into something else business wise, but based off you living in that shame and guilt, you can't even see the opportunity that you're about to step into. You know what I'm saying? Which kind of brings me to something else that I talked to you about earlier in the week that um, you know, I thought about this and a lot of times when I pray, man, I pray about me being able to open up my eyes to be able to see what I need to see and being able to hear what I need to hear, right? See what I need to
Hmm.
see and hear what I need to hear. God, help me to be able to see what I need to see and hear what I need to hear. But now as I start to kind of reflect and think about it, I'm kind of happy there was some stuff he ain't let me see, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of
Yeah.
I'm kind of happy there was some things that that I just didn't need to hear. You know what I'm saying? And 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 I ain't got to the full extent of understanding this, but when I look at some of it, I'm thankful because I probably wasn't at the best place in my life to be able to see some things. You know what I'm saying? And if I saw it because I was so much of a fool, I probably would have handled it the wrong way. Or if I heard something, right? If I had a chance to hear something based off the place that I was at in my life, I wasn't ready to hear that. Or I probably would have handled it in a poor way. Or I probably would handle that relationship in a poor way. So it's you know, it's always the flip side of it, right? I want to be able to see what I need to see and then hear everything I need to hear. Some things, man, you just don't probably need to see. I'm realizing some things I just don't need to see, you know, and it's probably not for me to see it, you know. So just being okay with um that it's not for you to see it all and hear it all and understand it all. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times we give ourselves a we end up tend up run out, we tend to run ourselves crazy because we feel like we have to understand it all. You know what I'm saying? I got to see it all. And anything you walk into, I don't think you'll fully never have a full explanation of it to the T.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And even if you think you understand on the front end of it, there's gonna be something that's gonna get thrown at you in the middle of it you ain't gonna understand. So whether it's on the front end or the middle of it or the inside of it, you're gonna be you'll be at a point where you're like, man, I just don't get this and understand this.
Yeah.
You know? Um, so yeah.
Yeah, man. It's about timing, right? That's what it's all about when you really break it down and look at it. You pull the layers back and really look at what you just said about seeing what I need to see and hearing what I need to hear. It's all about timing. Like you said, I wasn't ready then. So I was such a fool then. We were all such a fool then. We probably did see it and hear it. Didn't know what the hell it was, right? We didn't have the capacity to we probably heard it, we weren't listening, right? So it's all about timing. Certain stuff has to happen to you to know you even need to see or hear this. So you just got to go through your process, right? And your process is what it is. Nobody's gonna be perfect, right? We got it bad. We want stuff in relationships, right? Let's say you first got with your old lady. This happens. This is just a natural thing, right? Y'all first get together, sparks flying, right? Y'all all over each other, right? Years down the road, it ain't so spiffy no more. And you dwelling on that feeling you had. You damn near like a fiend, right? That's why crackheads or drug addicts turn to drug addicts. They chasing that first high and living back there when I first did it. And people, you hear people all the time say, I want things to be the way they used to be. Can't be, right? Why would they be? Because we always changing. You ain't even the same people no more, right? But that don't mean it can't be better than it was before. You can't take the steps to make it better than that. And maybe, just maybe, it don't fit. that don't, you found out how to prune it back by mistake. You probably didn't want to. You're at full capacity, right? I'm just applying all the lit code stuff now. Some took the place of that, right? So instead of you dwelling on how it was back then, you need to figure out what's going on right now that took the place of that. What can I prune back now so they can grow back into the relationship, right? We evolve, we change daily, weekly. I showed you that, I sent you that post I made, 5 years ago, right? I basically was speaking to myself now, but I wasn't him yet. I just was saying I want to be him. You know what I'm saying? This is where I want to go. This is where I want to be. I want to be on this thought process. I want to be doing this, and I'm going to do it. And then now I'm here, but it took a lot of experience in those 5 years for me to get to this point. We talked the other day about opportunity you got going on. I was actually at the gas station when I said it, and the guy at the next pump kind of looked at me and smiled and nodded his head. And I was on the phone with you, and I said, "Hey man, if we thinking like this now, and we got this stuff going on now, the fuck is gonna be like in 5 years?" You know what I'm saying? And you was like, "Man." And I was thinking to myself, man, the dude looked at me, kind of smiled, nodded his head like he was thinking in his head, well, damn, this is me too, you know what I'm saying? But that's because we dwelling on 5 years ahead. I told you, I talked to my brother Scat, and I said, hey man, in this year we're gonna be able to do this, this, and that. And he told me, man, I'm adding up for 2026. Like it's gonna be crazy. You know what I'm saying? Thinking ahead now. Me and Scat grew up with him. That 2 years ago, 3 years, you wouldn't have heard that from him. 2026, what we thinking about that for, right? It's all about evolving, right? So let's say Scat's relationship, whatever him and his old lady had 5 years ago, if they trying to get that back, can't happen. He a totally different animal now, right? I'm sure she's a totally different animal now. So it's a lot of stuff we can't go back and change it, but we can change what's gonna happen in the future easily by just dwelling on that, right? Dwelling on, and it's good. You'll never forget. It's not like you're just gonna wipe your brain out. You can't. We talked about it before. You can't sweep a dead body under your rug and then just have dinner guests over every week and think ain't nobody gonna notice the smell of the lump sitting in the middle of the rug, right? I think that's what the problem a lot of us have is we don't ever address that was in the past, right? So if we don't address that hurt person that was there, it's hard to move forward. There's one thing you can't do, right? You said it. You used to beat yourself up about you and Kat's beginning and end, and then Amaya being stuck in it, and you felt like you were dwelling on it, right?
Yeah.
Man, I hate how that happened. The definition of progress is forward, onward progression towards a destination. It's, by definition, you can't have progress going backwards. Ain't no way. You can be stuck in a rut because you're sitting there thinking about it. Now the whole time you thinking about that, what you spend the time not doing, right? So again, we're at full capacity.
Yeah.
All right. We got polar opposites. If I'm sitting here thinking about this, then I'm not being the best dad I can be. Once you release it, say, man, that was the past, because Amaya is steady growing. Every day Amaya gonna get hungry. Every day she gonna grow more. She gonna have more questions. She gonna need something. She ain't stopped, right? So you stopping thinking about that, it ain't making up for no time for sure. Like she's still full steam ahead. Right? Her mind don't even know to go back there yet. It's probably coming now with age, but at the time it didn't.
Yeah.
Maya just want daddy, right? It's like we going through stuff at, outside of the home, and we bring that into the home. Can't do that because the kids don't know, right? My boy, I started out shouting out my boy Wooger. He gone now. A lot of stuff ain't gonna stop though. Kids ain't gonna stop being hungry. They ain't gonna stop growing. Bills ain't gonna stop being due wherever he was living at, right? So it's certain stuff I need to be able to do to help that situation out, right? So I can't dwell on being sad, this, that, and other, because life gonna keep going. We gotta progress, right? So I think it's very important. We always talk about what we tell ourselves, what we say to ourselves, the affirmations we make. That's just me. All the episodes we had, you keep telling yourself that and you keep dwelling on the past. And I wish I can go back. And I wish I could. Yeah, that's where you're going to be, back, right? The opposite of forward. We want to move forward, right? So be conscious of what you're telling yourself and concentrate on the future, man.
Man, sitting here thinking too, and oh man, like I wish I can go back. I wish I can go back. I think one thing that you can be able to do as well is for all your past, you always hear people, especially after they lose, who I'm like, man, I wish I talked to him more. You know what I'm saying? I wish I would hit him up, and that can lead you down a shame and a guilt road as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I wish I would have been more intentional with talking to her, or wish I would have been better at reaching out to him. And I think to be able to kind of mend that and help you out with that shame and the guilt from that past situation is just to honestly be intentional with everything else moving forward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wish that you had before, making it happen by actually starting to be intentional when it comes to other people in your life and relationships with them. You know what I'm saying? Talking to them more, reaching out to them more, giving them a call more. Something, man, I've tried to do is just be more intentional with giving people calls, you know what I'm saying? And actually put it in my reminder in my phone, yo, call such and such a day, and just give them a shout. Because, I talked about this, one of my truck talks, due to the business of life and all these different roles that we're playing, and what's been given to us as a father, as a husband, as a mom, as a dad, you got your job that you're working. We get so busy that we don't even know how to say hello to each other anymore. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of something that has a lot of substance in it when you're able just to try to speak to people and give them even 3 minutes of your attention. You know what I'm saying? Because we're such an attention, because it's a society that everything takes our attention. You giving your attention to someone is like gold now.
Yeah.
You just actually being able to talk to them for a little bit, connected with them, and or just listen to them talk for like 5 minutes, man, you can't put a price point on it. You can't put a dollar sign on it because it's something that's I guess I would say that it doesn't take a lot of effort to do that. You know what I'm saying? So maybe you out there dealing with some shame and guilt about how you didn't handle the relationship well, or you probably weren't the best friend and you no longer in a place where you're able to say what you wanted to say to that person. Well, I just would encourage you now as you're walking forward in life, instead of, it's kind of hard to say you won't think about, well, I wish I didn't do this. Right? I think that's kind of crazy to say you're not going to think about that, because you are, and that shows us as humans, right? Like how much we care. You know what I'm saying? Care for a lot of situations that we probably didn't handle the best way. But what I would encourage you to do as you continue to move forward in this life, as you continue to move forward in this journey, whatever regrets that you've had, just making it right by how you interact and how you go your day to day and how you carry out your actions now. And if you want to live a life that you really start to have less regrets, right? Because you still, by human default, we're gonna make mistakes. But if you want to live a life where I feel like you truly making less mistakes, just being aware of what you're doing now, what you're saying now, how am I responding? Why? You know what I'm saying? Why? Like we always go back to that why. Man, I had one, it's a good buddy, great guy, man, that lives in my neighborhood, brother. Army, served, did 20 plus years in the Army. We was having a conversation a couple weeks ago, and he was said he was talking about um, giving people your anger, right? And he was giving me some advice about something we was talking about, and he was like, he's had people say crazy stuff to him, and he constantly reminds himself that they don't matter. Like you don't matter to me when you say that. So like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I took that because it was just something good to just say to myself, especially if somebody says something crazy or does something like, dude, you don't matter. It doesn't matter. That's not affecting me. That's not harming me. That's not doing anything physical to me, hurt me. So I just take little stuff like that, man, by applying it to my life now. But I just want y'all to know, man, that that shame and that guilt is that damn thing right there eats your life away. And honestly, if you spend a front row seat to looking at that all the time, it's like sitting in the front row. You ever been to a movie theater? You sit in the front row seat, like the very front, like the very, very front.
Yeah, that's why I always wanted to see it.
You want to sit in the front?
I
couldn't sit in the front, man.
Yeah.
I can't sit in the front because I feel like even though I'm in front of the movie, I'm missing the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's right in front of me. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things that you need to sometimes pull back, take a little deeper, take a little seat further back in the theater so you really take in the full experience of the movie, y'all, I had somebody always say this to me, I'm so close to the forest, I can't see the trees. Sometimes you got to pull back a little bit to be able to see the overall picture of it. And just like I said, encourage you to, as you move forward, especially that shame and that guilt or that living that life of I wish I would have, just move forward on the things that you can control, Yeah. So yeah.
That shame and guilt, man. Something I learned not too long ago. It usually exists when you're trying to hide something, right? And you hiding it from you, trying to hide it from everybody else. You're thinking they see you, you're thinking they know this, that, and the other. A lot of times it's best to release that, right? Expose it, confess it, whatever it is, write about it. We talked about that before, right? Talk to somebody about it, get it off of you, because if not, it's going to weigh you down and keep you. Some of this stuff may have happened 20, 30 years ago. Now, granted, some heinous stuff can happen out there it's some stuff in my mind that personally, like you can't, to me, you ain't coming back from if you did it to me, right? But a lot of times we holding on to something, man, 20 years ago, right? Or 15 years ago. And what it does, if you holding on to that, it's keeping you there. It's hard for you to progress. Again, you can't progress going backwards. It goes against the definition. It just can't happen. So you got to release yourself from that, right? That shame and guilt only exists when you're hiding it from the world, or from who you think looking at you, or who you think really cares about all that, right? You hiding it. You need to release it. You need to tell somebody about it. Write it down. Help somebody going through a similar situation. Do something to get that off of you, because it'll kill you. Just be perfectly honest with you. That's exactly what it'll do. It'll kill you. It'll keep your mind off something you're supposed to be doing, while you creeps up at the silliest times, while you're driving, while you're stressing and you're doing all this and that. Some people really stress themselves to death over something they just can't let go of. The other thing I want to leave y'all with is, like Edgar said, it's almost impossible to not think about certain things that you wish you could have done. Right? I wish I could go back and do this. I wish I could have done this a different way. But it's also about what you're telling yourself. Again, your words are very, very powerful. So instead of you saying, I wish I could have did that a different way, I would recommend saying, I won't let it happen that way again. Right? Because now you automatically switching from talking in the future, speaking into the past. I mean, you're automatically going from speaking into the past to speaking into the future. Right? So I wish I could do that over. I won't do that again. Right? That's what you really ought to be saying. Because it'll come up. Just like we talked about this situational awareness. Right? A past situation will show itself to you. Right? And that's your chance to do over right there. Right? Because it's gonna happen. Life gonna keep happening. Your chance to do over is right there. But what you want to tell yourself is, I won't do that again. I won't let that happen. I won't get myself in this situation no more. I won't put my family in a bind by gambling. I won't drink myself into a stupor and have a wreck in the car. I won't. Anything you could think of, right? Just don't keep dwelling on it about what happened in the past. Tell yourself, intentionally speak to your future. And again, it's very important what we say to ourselves, what kind of affirmations we make to ourselves, because eventually you say it long enough. Let's say the most powerful drug in the world is belief. You keep saying it, you mess around and believe it, you're going to be it. That's what's going to happen. It's going to become reality because you believe it, right? Just like we believed we were doing right back then. It was our reality because we believed it from what we saw, what we was hearing, what we were listening to, what we were saying to ourselves. I'm a player. You believe it, yeah. So shall you be. You know what I'm saying? So be very careful what you're telling yourself, what you're saying to yourself. Again, be intentional on dwelling on the future, on speaking into your future. And let that shame and guilt go by. First of all, if you feel like I'm gonna regret it, you probably shouldn't do it. I'm gonna say that. And we've all been there before. I don't need to do this. And you do it anyway, right? Now you got to go about hiding it. You don't want nobody to know. That's shame and guilt there, right? But you had a chance. The voices spoke to you. Whatever y'all want to call it, God and the devil, good and evil, your conscience. One side you said do it, one side you said, man, you don't need to do that. You went with the other side. Now you're ashamed because you went there. Now you're feeling guilty because you don't want nobody to know that you did. The easiest, the best thing you do is just not do it in the first place. Second best thing, if you've done it, you might as well just go and talk about it. Because if not, you're going to be trying to hide it forever. Right?
Yeah.
So.
That's some restful sleep at night, boy. Yeah.
Oh, man. Man. Deal with it. You know what I'm saying? If you decide to go with that other voice, man, you better gotta deal with what's coming. You know what I'm saying? Since killing yourself over, because it's coming. You're gonna have to face it sooner or later. All right, so.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's another episode of Lit Code. We appreciate y'all for tuning in, checking in. Hey, remember, continue to help us out with just spreading and sharing this with all the people you know. Remember, you can check us out on Spotify. You can check us out on iTunes. We're also on Facebook as well. But hey, this is the Lit Code of Jones.
I'm Courtney Anderson. Yeah.